Hi, I'm back with another review. Actually, if you're watching this channel, you're going to see a handful of reviews. I do have a couple of diamond paintings coming in, so you'll see some unboxings, but primarily my focus this week is to get these reviews filmed and posted. Now, this book here that I'm reviewing is The Invisible Woman by Erica Roebuck. Now, this book was released on February 9th, but I was asked to participate in a blog blitz for it on February 6th, so it's been on my blog for a few days, but I want to go ahead and get this filmed and upload it to this channel so I can tell you about this book. Now, let me tell you what my impression about the book was before I tell you about the book. Basically, I love historical fiction. It's often very difficult to read. I do have to decompress sometimes after reading a historical fiction title. What I generally do is I'll read something like an Amish fiction or a contemporary romance to kind of like smooth my palate after reading a difficult story. So that's because a lot of the historical fiction books that I read take place during World War II and the concentration camps like Auschwitz and Birkenau and things of that nature. But this book was a little bit different. Still a very difficult time period, a very difficult story, but a very impressive story. As a matter of fact, it was my first top read of 2021. I have a second one, and that other one is the other top read is The Girl on the Back of the Bus by Suzette D. Harrison. But I read this book first, so this was my first top read. So I am making a list of my top books because I've never done that on my channel, like list my favorite reads or whatever, but this one is most definitely one. Now, I was ignorant about this character in this book. Her name was Virginia Hall Goyot. Goyot was her married name when she got married later in life, but Virginia Hall is in the annals of history in a very limited fashion. At least she was in my eyes. I had not heard of her. She was an American spy who served in France during World War II to help as many people as she could. But that's just so general. Let's get a little bit more specific about it. Now, Virginia Hall was an intelligent, well-spoken woman, spoke many languages, graduated from college, and she wanted to become a diplomat. And she applied to become a diplomat in France, but her application was denied over and over again. Meanwhile, at some point, she was a hunter. She loved to hunt. She actually shot off her foot. So she had what we would consider to be a crude prosthesis to get around with. So here she is, I won't say disabled, but she had been getting around with that physical difficulty, but that didn't slow her down one bit. So again, who was she and how did she become a fearless spy that at a time when hiding was the name of the game, not boldly fighting Hitler and his cronies every chance she could get? Well, she, as I mentioned, someone who she actually went to 2 colleges, learned a bunch of languages, and then she ended up going to college in France, and that's again when I mentioned she applied to become a diplomat. However, World War II broke out, the Nazis invaded France, and at that point, Virginia was forced to flee France, and she ended up in Britain. It was there that she came into contact with someone that gave her a chance to change her life forever. No, she did not become a diplomat, but her time in Britain gave her a chance to work with a network that fought against the Nazi regime. It was a very dangerous job. Fellow spies lost their lives more than once and it was thrilling. It was utterly thrilling. And I don't remember the quote. I did write it. It's in one of my notepads. I think she was something called like the woman of 1,000 faces, and the quote is probably incorrect because she was great at disguises. She could be a young woman, she could be an old woman, she could be a crippled woman, she could be a heavyset woman, she could be a thin woman. She was excellent with makeup and with wigs, and with all of that, the Nazis were determined to find her. There were pictures of her all over the place for them trying to capture this woman. Now, while she was serving in the resistance, she was blessed to be part of a network that hid spies along the way so that the spies themselves could execute their radio transmissions to their base. So she was harbored by some very genuine, kind people who even put their very lives at stake or at risk to protect Virginia. What made this, it was based on a real character, but it was a fictional title. I have since learned, however, of other books. One is nonfiction, another is fiction, and I think there's even like a children's story about it, and there's going to be a film about her. And there's something else as far as why she's just coming to light in the last few years, is she became an agent for the CIA. And we know, or anybody that knows anything about that part of the world, because I do a lot of reading, that's a secret agency. And it's I guess I don't want to use the word privacy. I guess I'll just stick with the word secrecy. Well, what Virginia did after D-Day, after World War II, when she served with the CIA, that's all classified. That's mostly classified. So a lot of her story was hidden away for decades. Well, I don't want to spoil it. I probably did. I don't think I did. But all I can tell you is I loved her story. I loved what happened to her after the war. I loved finding out more about her by Googling her. Some of it was on Wikipedia, some of it was in articles, and there are a couple of books that I mentioned that I'm going to also be reading. And so this book definitely is one of my favorite books for 2021. And I'll say the title one more time, and it is The Invisible Woman by Erica Roebuck. Fabulous book. And I want to thank the author, and I want to thank NetGalley, and I also want to encourage you, if you read this book, read the afterword and look at all the references and all the research that this author put into this book. It's stunning. It's absolutely amazing. I want to thank Berkeley Books and NetGalley for this, and I really want to thank Berkeley Books because as a reviewer, Berkeley doesn't always give reviewers and bloggers ARCs or advanced reader copies at NetGalley. They kind of reserve them for librarians or booksellers. So lately, though, Berkeley has been giving me titles and also asking me to participate in these blog blitzes. And so I really want to thank them because a lot of times my experience as a reader is limited as to what I can put my hands on or what I think is something that I want to read. But when I get asked to read specific titles and they have this impression on me, it makes me very thankful. So I just wanted to throw that in. I want to thank you, and I will be back with more. Bye-bye.